Hey guys! It is after Book Expo, which is so insane to us because we look forward to that event every year. We had a bit of trouble actually getting to New York. Toronto has been experiencing a bunch of thunderstorms recently, and so the night we were supposed to leave, we were supposed to kind of like leave the house at like 5 in the morning, you know, get to the airport, and our flight left at 8 and we'd be in by like 10. Did not happen.
We got an email at 1:30 in the morning telling us our flight was cancelled.
And that they were rescheduling us for another flight. I think that flight left at 10 and, you know, so we were in by 11.
We got to our hotel and our room, because we got there at about 1. Our room was ready, so we got to go right up to our room and drop off our bags and like, good. And go to the Javits Center to get our passes and do like a walkthrough and see how things are. It was still pretty much getting set up, but we took some pretty cool footage.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Book Expo was set up a little differently this year. Usually there was signings on the Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. The Wednesday was like a half day, but this year they decided that they were going to just run panels all day on the Wednesday and then have the 2 days for the signing. As somebody who's not interested in the panels, because they're not really applicable to bloggers really, it was a little okay, fine. But if that's the way it is, that's okay too. We were like, okay, well, you know, we're here in New York, let's make sure our favorite diner where we like to go have breakfast is still there.
And it wasn't, and that was heartbreaking, because every year what we would do is we would go to the Javits Center, we would get our signing tickets for the day, and then we would go, we'd have a nice breakfast, we'd come back and start our day.
Did not happen this year.
Did not happen this year.
Also, it probably wouldn't, now that I'm like looking at the way they set it up, we probably wouldn't have been able to go to the diner this year, because before, I think the ticket booth signings used to open up at like
7 or 6.
It was really early, so there was never like a lineup. You'd just go, you'd walk up to the booth, and you'd just be like, I want these tickets, and it was first come, first serve. Which was great. I wish they would re-implement that system, because it just cuts down on like that one line that you're waiting for. This year they just had a lineup, and the ticket booth opened at like 8, and then the show floor opened at 9. So you had like a lineup of people just like waiting to get their tickets, and then they'd go, and then they'd
hop into the line to
get into the convention.
We took footage of the convention hall, we got our passes, then we went to Starbucks, and then we had to kill about 4 hours, so we went to Central Park, because that night we had tickets to see Kinky Boots.
And the star of Kinky Boots this time is Brandon Urie from Panic at the Disco.
And we both really love Panic at the Disco.
Like a lot.
Like a lot.
Alexandra managed to get some great tickets.
We were like 3 rows from the front. And the tickets, the best part was it didn't break the bank, because this year I really wanted to do Broadway, and I was ready to go into it for 500 seat. Like, that's what I was expecting. 80 US?
Not bad.
Not bad.
Okay, so you had 30% on and a couple of service fees or whatever, but hey,
still, that's still...
It came out to like 130, 150 for us. Oh my god, all the Panic at the Disco fans showed up for this event, I swear to god. After like a long day, we came out of the theater and we saw just like the amount of people crowding around the entrance where he will eventually come out of, and we're just like,
yeah, I know.
I'm sorry.
So first day of Book Expo, the big thing was we wanted to get All the Crooked Saints by Maggie Stiefvater and Cruel Prince by Holly Black. Those were our two, like...
We need these books.
Yeah.
Front of the line.
Lines weren't as long this year. I don't feel like I waited very long for anything. Like, the longest line we were in was the Wonder Woman line, and that wasn't even a real line, that was an unofficial line.
That was a whole nother story.
Oh, yeah.
Leigh Bardugo doing Wonder Woman, and the movie had just come out, and the movie was doing so well, so I think everybody was really hyped up for that one. I think a good hour before the actual signing, I think maybe even an hour and a half before, an unofficial line started, and we were more or less at the front of that unofficial line. There was maybe like 20 people ahead of us, and there was going to be riots if Penguin didn't acknowledge this unofficial line.
And we were lucky, because at the same time as the Wonder Woman signing, there was also the Night Vale signing, and we had a really difficult decision. Were we gonna stay in the Wonder Woman line and then go to Night Vale? We were worried that Night Vale was gonna be pretty busy, but Night Vale was tiny.
Yeah, it was surprising.
I figure it's because of the audience at Book Expo that this year it was mostly industry people, and Night Vale kind of appeals to the blogger population, so...
It's very niche.
It's very niche, so less people at the convention really were.
Yeah. So it worked out really well for us. So we waited like an hour in this, 1 hour and a half in this Wonder Woman line. We're at the front of it, and then we just ran over to the the Night Vale line and walked more or less right up.
Bantered with Joseph Fink. As you do every year.
Yeah.
I think my other favorite author interaction we had was with Daniel Handler, aka Lemony Snicket, who like I have loved since I was a child, and we were in this line and it was quite short, and I was thinking, what am I gonna say to this guy? And we walk up and he like automatically was like, oh, Death of the Author, and he knew it was a Roland Barthes essay, and so we had like a 3-minute conversation about literary theory with Lemony Snicket.
Oh, the other people who were really nice were the Zenith authors.
Yes.
They were super sweet.
I'm excited to read that. There was a lot of science fiction this year, I noticed.
Yeah.
They were really pushing sci-fi. I was very proud of us this year because we did not bring back, we were very specific with what we got. We picked up stuff that we knew we were going to be interested in, and
we were like, yeah, that sounds really interesting. I know I'm not going to have time for this.
We didn't pick it up.
The amount of books that we were like, we can't take back this year, almost none. Mm-hmm. Almost none. It was very impressive, and you know, like got almost everything we wanted. I think there was one that got away.
We've learned from doing this now this is our 3rd year at Book Expo, how much we can cover within a year. I mean, bringing home 40 books, I average about 80 books a year. That's how many I read, but we average about like 40 reviews a year, give or take, so I'm glad that we know our limits.
Yeah, and we've also gotten really good at about scheduling, because before we just kind of like go and pick books as we're like, what do we want to read next? And then we kind of like miss a couple that we really wanted to cover, and so we've now got a schedule where we're going to be releasing it when it comes out or before, which is super exciting.
These are like the background things about running a website that like you might not be interested in, but they make us really happy. You don't understand. We have Google Docs, we have a Trello board.
We're gonna have Excel sheets by the end of like next week. Like,
so exciting. We spent a lot of time at the out of print booth. Right now I'm rocking the Handmaid's Tale out of print shirt. They had this amazing, it was 2 t-shirts for $30 or something.
I think it was 35.
Stupidly ridiculous. Because I love out of print, but the shipping up to Canada is astronomical. So I kind of went a little nuts.
I think I got one.
You got one. I got this one. I got a Hamlet shirt. I got a Dracula shirt for Vampire Month because, you know, reasons. And I got a Beowulf shirt because I'm a classics nerd. But
it was pretty great. We found the Strand booth at the back of BookCon, and that was dangerous.
Because I was in line for a book signing, because I had a ticketed book signing for BookCon, and Chelsea was off, and she went into a panel, and she found this booth, and she texted me while I'm in line. She's like, I got you something, and I'm just like, oh, she picked me up a book. I just assumed she was walking and somebody like handed a book to her. No, she found the Strand booth and she got me like this little David Bowie like lapel pin, an Adam Zane lapel pin, and I like, yes, I don't know when I'm gonna put it on. And then of course, when we were going for lunch, she's like, did you know they have a bag version? And I'm like, I don't need another duffel bag, Chelsea. I'm an adult.
We have so many totes right here.
I bought it.
You know, it's the picture on one side and then you flip it around and it's an actual like really nice quote. I'm like,
they have beautiful bags there. Beautiful tote bags. Chelsea bought a tote bag.
It's really gorgeous. It's like black with like gold leaves on it, and then it says a well-read woman is a dangerous creature. And then I got a Michelle Obama t-shirt from the Strand.
We went to the Strand because we had to, because it's the best bookstore in the whole wide world.
See, that was where I spent a lot of my
Yeah,
money.
you went crazy compared to, I was really like, by that point I'm like, I don't need things anymore.
Yeah.
And we both got reading is our cardio.
Because by that point we're like, this is our truth.
We're living our truth. One of the things that we looked for in the Strand was one of our favorite podcasts had just released a book. So we wanted to find it and look at it, just to like see it. And I thought it would be $25. It was $7.50 each, so it was funny because the guy handed the book to me and I looked at it and I'm like, well, Chelsea, I guess you're buying one too. Other things we did in New York.
My favorite, I don't know if it should be my favorite, but we went to Levain Bakery.
Tell the internet how much money you spent on cookies, Chelsea.
I spent $40 on cookies.
I thought you were about to say your favorite thing was the blue whale.
Oh, that's always my favorite thing, but figured to change it up a bit. Yeah. Like those were like one cookie was really just like 4 cookies.
I was terrified because Chelsea bought all the cookies to bring home and I bought one. And I was looking at it and I'm like, I don't understand how this is a cookie because this is a cake. Like it was gigantic. Like it's
heavy.
It's heavy. And I sat there and I'm like, I shouldn't eat this. Because this is gonna make me feel so sick. I shouldn't eat this. This is more sugar than I have in like 2 weeks. And I sat there and I ate it. Over the course of like 40 minutes, I ate it. And the fact that it didn't faze me just...
Because by that point, funny enough, our biggest days for walking was not Book Expo. I mean, that was a lot of we did a lot of walking, but we were also weightlifting at the same time because we were carrying so many books. So, you know, your muscles were just like aching and sore. But the most walking that we did was actually our second last day there, when we went to a couple of museums and we wandered the park and went to Levain Bakery. So that day we walked 30,000 steps. So to eat this cookie was just like filling the tank up to like the minimal it needed to be at.
So we went to the Museum of Natural History because they had a mummy exhibit on, because everything was to do with the mummy. Like, you turned anywhere and there was mummy stuff. So much mummy. We went to Rockefeller Center and they were doing a promo for the Mummy movie. We were in the NBC Experience store and they're like, oh yeah, over here they have like, it's a VR game. And we were kind of looking at it and the line was short. And we're like, okay, let's try this. It could be fun. Could be lots of fun. And so we go in, and Chelsea goes in first, and I'm standing there and I'm talking to the guy who's running it, because I'm asking these questions like, hey, I can't see. Can I fit my glasses underneath these headphones? Meanwhile, Chelsea's just sitting there, just like swiveling around, shooting this gun. And I'm like, what? Like, what's gonna happen? Like, And he's like, oh yeah, you start on a helicopter, and like I see Chelsea's like shooting the ground. And eventually your helicopter's gonna land and you're gonna be like a ground troop. And I'm like, okay. It was the most fun I've had in my life. It was so cool because...
You're in a box.
Yeah.
It's a box that you're sitting in.
With like a chair and like a bar.
Bar is for your feet, and you put your feet on the bar.
It's like, keep your feet on the bar, and I'm like, okay, why would I keep my feet on? Like, why specifically? And then you put on the goggles, and you're on the side of a helicopter, like you're sitting hanging off the helicopter.
And your box is vibrating, like you're like in this helicopter and the things are going.
And it's 360, so you can look behind you and you can see the inside of the helicopter. It's like you're shooting mummy zombies. They're running on the ground and you're shooting them and they jump at you. And like at one point I looked down and there was a guy hanging on the bar that my feet were on. And I was just like, I shot him in the face.
So yeah, the helicopter lands and you like feel it land. It's like as it stops, and then you like get up and you're like, this is so natural, like whatever, I'm just standing here, and you're like shooting zombies as they're attacking like this like car train, and it's just, and then there were crows flying at you. It was great.
At one point I turned to the side when I was on the ground and there was a zombie crawling towards me. It was a weird place to be. Because it felt very real, like it was very like well done, but you knew it wasn't. It was like, yes, I know that this zombie is trying to attack me, but I know it's not real, but I still feel the need that I have to make sure it doesn't attack me because self-preservation is still a thing.
So yeah, I was one step away from like putting my boot on its face and being like, ah! My hand was so sore after that, I literally had to ice it. And so then we're like, oh yeah, there's another VR experience upstairs, so go do that. And they've got it in a cool like setup, you know, like there's a mummy on a stand and then there's like this office with all these like classified documents under the table. And that was really cool. And so we're waiting and they finally take us into this room where there's just like a whole bunch of these like pod chairs. And so they sit you down and they're like, oh yeah, don't kick the chairs. And you're like, how do you kick the chair? I don't get it. And they're like, yeah, we weren't expecting people to kick the chairs, don't kick the chairs. And you're like, okay, I want to kick the chairs. So you're sitting there, you put on these goggles. Unfortunately, they did not fit over her glasses.
No, so this entire experience was very blurry for me.
Put on these glasses, and it's like the making of this one scene in The Mummy, because there's this plane crash scene where like Tom Cruise and female lead are in this plane and it's crashing. But how they filmed it was they went into one of those zero gravity jets that go up and then they like fall and you feel like you're floating. So they filmed it in one of those, and then they also took a 360 camera in and filmed it behind the scenes, and then they took that 360 footage and then they motion mapped it into these chairs. So when you've got these goggles on and you're sitting in this chair and it literally feels like you are in this plane with these people filming this scene, and it is so fucking cool.
It was so cool. Other things we did, we went back to the Tenement Museum. We did the Sweatshop Workers Tour. If you were in New York City, go to the Tenement Museum. It's really cool. I personally, my favorite part of every tour we've done there has been going into the ruin space and seeing like the multiple layers of wallpaper.
I learned exactly what a sweatshop is now.
We went to the Beetle House, which is a Tim Burton themed restaurant bar, which was a lot of fun.
It was really cool, like the way they had it kind of set up, because it's very simple. It's very like much like a thin little box, like long rectangular room, but you know, they've got like 10 tables in there and then a bar. It's all purple inside.
We went to Carmine's twice.
God.
So we had a lot of fun. We did a lot of stuff. I am still exhausted.
Me too. I think my body still is like, this is strange. Because now we come home and we're like, let's sit behind the desk all day. And you're like, I miss all that exercise. That was amazing. We're home and it's interesting. So yeah, we're looking forward to next year, and hope you guys enjoyed this vlog. Bye guys!